Thanks everyone again for your patience. Nikki, I'll let you get right to it.
Well, good morning, everyone, and happy Monday, as usual. Mortgage interest rates this week. It's going to be a very interesting week this week because we're going to be getting a lot of data about housing prices, mortgage applications, how things are going from a shelter standpoint. We're going to get a lot of reports that are coming out that talk about how the home sales have been going so far this year. And so that's going to start to play into what the mortgage interest rates are going to do this week. Right now, we're seeing 30-year fixed in the mid to higher sixes, which is good. We've seen some positive movement on that. The one thing that we also have coming up that we're going to want to take a look at and after this week is the reciprocal tariffs and what that's going to do to the stocks and bond market. If we get some good information this week from a PPE standpoint and from a housing standpoint, we should get to see a rally towards the end of the week on bonds, which means when we have a rally on bonds, it usually just means that mortgage interest rates are going to dip a little bit lower than what we saw in previous weeks and previous time this week. So we're really hopeful for that. The tariffs are going to, if they go into effect from a reciprocal standpoint, those are going to affect the bond market. We're not entirely sure how much at this point, but it sounds like the amount of tariffs and the specific products that are going to be subject to those tariffs have narrowed down a lot, which means that they aren't going to be to the degree that was originally thought. So that's actually good news for us, good news for the bond market because it won't create as much volatility as it could have if we were in fact tariffing that many countries for that amount of reciprocal tariffs. So we'll kind of keep an eye on that. Things are looking good. Like I said, mid to high sixes for 30-year fixed loans, which is wonderful. I did want to talk about today a subject that has came up, which is that you actually have, I have some clients right now who actually do not have credit scores. So they're younger, they're in their mid 20s or low to mid 20s, and they actually came to me to get approved for a mortgage and they do not have a credit score. So it got me thinking, like, how many people know that you actually do not need to have a credit score in order to get a mortgage? It used to be that FHA was the only one that would allow this by establishing what we call non-traditional credit. Non-traditional credit is establishing payment history on things like cell phones, utilities, rents, um, electricity, things like that, that where they have a positive pay history and we can document that they've made 12 on-time payments, and then they are not required to have a credit score in order to obtain a mortgage. We can do that now, not only on the FHA side, but we can also do that on the conventional side. Fannie and Freddie both have allowances for clients who do not have credit scores. Believe it or not having a credit score gives you a better interest rate than having a low credit score. So it's really interesting that you can absolutely obtain a mortgage without a credit score. And it's really interesting that even it's better to actually not have a score than it is to have a low credit score. So just an interesting tidbit and something to keep track of as we kind of see first time home buyers come through, and we can talk through either one, establishing a credit history, or number two, just still doing the mortgage without the credit history.
Yeah, that's so interesting because I know way back when my husband and I went to get approved, he didn't have one because he just was taught, I mean, we're almost 50. So back then it was like, stay away from credit cards, don't do this, don't. So he just did everything cash and he didn't have any of that history. So it's good to hear that now that's kind of coming around. Would you say, just as we're talking to the youth of today, or just helping people that are going to be coming up and coming for that, for purchasing a home or getting a mortgage, is it like, what are some things that we can instruct either our kids to do, or our cousins or our nephews and nieces,
Yes.
in order to get ready?
One of the best things a parent can do for a child who is 16 or older is to put them as an authorized user on one of their credit cards. What that does is it allows this child to establish credit history that is from the parents, but as long as they're an authorized user, that credit history then becomes their credit history. So when they turn 18 and they go to get their first car, or they get to go to get their first credit card, or whatever it is, they actually have a credit score already. And that credit score, as long as the parent is obviously paying on time, etc., that credit score is usually starts off around between 750 and 800. So it's really nice to be able to have that do that for your child, or you could do it for pretty much anyone, a niece, a nephew, whatever you wanted to do, but it helps them to establish credit history and gives them the opportunity to build more credit over time, and also allows them to right off the bat have that score, which means that normally they'd pay less interest rates, or lower interest rates by having a higher credit score.
I love that. That's great. Is there anything else we can do for our kids, besides putting them on a credit card that you can think of?
Yeah, if they have a car that they want to buy, co-sign a car loan or have them do a 12-month car loan or something of that nature. What we really want to see is that they've made 12 on-time payments. And when we run our automated underwriting, it's looking for credit history over the last 12 months. And so we really want to make sure that if we can help them establish at least 3 trade lines, that we do that for them for an entire year, because that's what's really going to help drive credit scores. And it's really going to help from a mortgage qualification standpoint as well. Not required, but it does help.
Yep, so 3 trade lines is what
Yep,
we're looking for.
correct.
Good. No, I love that. So could that be 3 different credit cards,
It
or
can be
is
3
that
different credit cards, it can be
okay?
a car loan, it can be, you know, what combination of all 3, student loan, whatever it is, at least 3 trade lines that they are paying on. Now, if they're not paying on their student loan, that one doesn't really count, but, if they are, still wanting to pay on that student loan while they're in school or whatever that is, as long as there's a payment history, um, that's what we're looking for.
Got it, love that. Yeah, so timely. My, son turned 16 today,
There
so
you go. Well, happy
I
birthday to
love
him.
it, I
Maybe
love
his
it.
present will be an authorized user card from
Oh, they'll have to have a good conversation before that
Well, see, what I would do is I would put my kids on as authorized user, and then I would never give them the credit card.
It makes sense.
Yeah,
Yep.
so that they weren't spending
Oh,
on it.
fair. I like that. That's good, that's good. Well, wonderful. Earl, do you have any questions for Nikki or myself?
No, so Nikki, do they even know that you have put them as authorized user?
They do when they turn 18, but not before that.
Yeah, that's wise. I will do that as well because my son is turning 15. So this is
Perfect.
about the right time. Thank you for the tip.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Perfect. Well, wonderful. Well, I appreciate it. And I guess, I just sent out an email this morning to some of the growth collaborative and agents that I work with here. And my whole mindset thing for this week is really just to do something that makes you uncomfortable or that you've been putting off. I know that so many times we make, like someone will pop in our head that we should call, or especially if it's business related, or we don't want to reach out, or we don't want to bother them, or we don't want to appear salesy. And I just say, kind of get over it, because we're in our own heads so much and telling ourselves these stories, or what they're going to think, or what they're going to say, and it's just most of the time not true. So my whole thing is, as we're going into this spring market and things are heating up, do something at least once a week, if not once a day, that makes you a bit uncomfortable. Because again, the growth happens when you're uncomfortable. If you stay comfortable and keep doing what you're already doing, you're going to keep getting what you already got. So if you do want that bigger goal, or that thing that's just out of your reach, know that it's when you become different and you stretch yourself and you get used to and you get comfortable being uncomfortable, that is where the magic and the beauty and the goals happen. So, yeah, I just want to encourage everyone to, even if it's just one thing this week that you've been putting off, or that just makes you a little bit uncomfortable, or a bit uncomfortable, do it, and do it now, and don't wait, for sure. Well, good. Well, as usual, everyone, thank you so much for joining. Appreciate you all. And I'll get the recording on my YouTube channel and podcast, and throughout social media as well. So if you want to listen to it again, you can absolutely find it there. And until next time, make it a great week and go sell something.